Hey all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends 6-inch Thanos comic book figure from Hasbro. Now this figure is a Walmart exclusive. It comes packaged in the same style that we've been seeing with all the Marvel Legend figures. Up at the top, you've got the Legend Series logo. At the very top, you've got the Infinity Gauntlet logo for Thanos, and then the figure's clearly displayed in the window box. On the front, you've got a sticker that says Walmart exclusive, and then down below, you've got the name of the character. On the sides of the packaging, you have some artwork for Thanos, and then on the back of the packaging, you have a brief bio in multiple languages and an image of the actual figure. All right, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Okay, so first of all, this figure comes with two different head sculpts. So the one you see here, the smiling head sculpt, is the one that's attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging. And if it looks familiar to you, it's because it's the exact same head sculpt that we got with the original Build-A-Figure version, only with some different paint applications. So you've got that gritting smile with the teeth, and then he's got the purple on the face, and the purple is darker than what we saw in the previous version, which I actually like this darker purple that they're using on this one. And then he's got a lighter blue color for the eyes, and then for the mask, it's a dark metallic blue on the sides, and then you've got that striping with the gold metallic paint, and that goes all the way over the head and everything. To switch out the heads, it's easy. Just pop off the head you want to replace. It attaches with a ball joint, and then you just pop on the one you want to replace it with, and you may have to turn it a little bit, but it should pop in and fit nice and tight. Now this second head sculpt that's included with this figure, we did not see with the Build-A-Figure version, and it's a more serious facial expression. He's not smiling, his mouth is closed. You still have the line work with the chin and everything, and they've used that darker purple color, and then he's got the lighter blue color for the eyes, that dark metallic blue for the helmet with the gold striping and everything. So overall, I like this. I prefer this more serious look to Thanos than the one with the smiley face. Now besides the two different head sculpts, we also get two different left hands with this one. So first of all, we get the Infinity Gauntlet hand, and this is different from the Build-A-Figure version. The Build-A-Figure version did not have an Infinity Gauntlet, and this is the one that's attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging. So it's basically done in two pieces. You've got the hand itself, and then you've got the back portion of the glove, which is a separate piece. And you've got the Infinity Gems, and they're just painted. They're not translucent or anything, which would have been kind of cool, but they did use a metallic type paint. So you've got the red one over here on the thumb, and then you've got the yellow, the blue, the pink or purple, whatever you want to call that, the orange, and then the green. And overall, I think they've done a pretty good job. The gold is done with almost a metallic type gold on the glove, which matches the rest of the figure. And then it's kind of, the hand is sculpted, so he's kind of reaching out to grab you or something. Now to switch out the hands, what you want to do is just pop off the actual hand, and then you pull off this back piece. Now the alternate hand also comes with, is in two pieces, so you get just the basically ungloved hand, and then you get the back piece. So this is the same hand that we got with the original Build-A-Figure version. So this is only, again, with different paint applications. The blue is a different shade, and so is the gold. But with this one, you've got the metallic silver on the knuckles, and then you've got the striping, some yellow striping on the actual gauntlet piece here, and then he's got just the blue, which matches the rest of the figure pretty good. And you've got some line work on the fingers and everything. Again, this is the same hand that we got with the original Build-A-Figure version. If you're wondering if you can get the Infinity Gauntlet onto other figures, so it probably depends a little bit, but here I have the most recent Adam Warlock figure that Hasbro did, and Adam Warlock / Magus did have the Infinity Gauntlet for a time. So I chose to stick it on him, and you can see it does actually fit on there. You are able to plug it in like a normal hand. It does look a bit big and a little funny, but technically you can put that Infinity Gauntlet on other figures. And of course, if you want to give the Infinity Gauntlet to your regular Build-A-Figure Thanos figure, it will fit on there because it is the same figure. Now the yellow portion of the glove is a little bit different shade than the rest of the yellow on that figure, but technically it will fit without any problem. Okay, so for the actual figure itself, this figure is exactly the same as far as sculpting and everything goes as that regular Build-A-Figure version that we got a couple years ago. So no difference there. You've got this piece up here that's a separate piece that you can pull off if you pop the head off, and it's done with just that plastic material. The only difference between the figures is the paint application. So with this new one, they've essentially given the figure a more classic color scheme for Thanos. Now the actual costume itself is based on primarily the Marvel Now version, but with this new figure they basically took the more classic colors of Thanos and gave it to this Marvel Now version. So you've got a more metallic blue, which I actually think looks better. I actually like the color scheme on this figure better than the Build-A-Figure version, even though this one is probably more accurate to the actual outfit than this one. I actually think this looks better. And then you've got the more metallic type gold. The gold colors are pretty similar, a little bit brighter with this one, but overall they're pretty similar. And then you've got some brighter yellow up here on this top piece, and then you also have the yellow striping here. You had the yellow on this version, but again, it's not as bright a yellow. I also like how they've painted the line work on the arms silver, a metallic silver. On the Build-A-Figure version, these lines were left unpainted. And one other thing I want to note about the paint applications on this figure, because it has that metallic type paint, you do get that marbleization effect that we often see with Marvel Legend figures, especially on his inner thigh here. You can see it's pretty bad. Now, because it's on the inner thigh, you don't really notice it that much unless you turn the leg. But definitely there are portions of this figure, a little bit on the back here, a little bit on the back of the leg, where you do get that marbleization effect going. Now this figure stands right about 7.5 inches, a little bit over 7.5 inches. And here's a comparison with the Build-A-Figure version, and these two figures are exactly the same height. Now here's a comparison with Hasbro's Marvel Legend, Marvel Now Hulk figure, and you can see that the Hulk is a bit taller than Thanos here. And I see a lot of debate online on who should be taller, Hulk or Thanos, how big is Thanos, and it does vary. It has varied over the years based on who's drawing them, but I tend to be in the camp that says Hulk and Thanos should be about the same height. And so compared to this Hulk figure, I would say this Thanos figure does seem a little bit on the short side. And here's a comparison with the Marvel Select Classic Thanos figure, which I actually think is a very solid figure, and that one, which is 7-inch scale, is taller than this Build-A-Figure version. And those of you who maybe have missed out on this version of Thanos, the Marvel Select version, I was looking at Diamond's Previews magazine, and it does look like that Diamond is going to be reissuing or re-releasing this figure. So if you've missed out on it before, you don't necessarily have to resort to secondary market prices, because your comic shop should be able to order it again for you. And then finally, here's a comparison with sometimes arch nemesis, sometimes friend, Adam Warlock figure. This is the most recent Adam Warlock figure that Hasbro did. And the scale between these two actually doesn't seem too bad. And then finally, here's a comparison with the Marvel Select Death figure. Now this is just a solid figure that was included with that Thanos figure. But if you're familiar with Thanos, you know that he's always had this infatuation with death, and in the comics, death can take on this physical form. So if you have that, you might want to pair it up with this figure. Now for articulation, it's exactly the same as with the Build-A-Figure, but we'll go over it real quick. So you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and he can look down about that much. And then you can get him looking back about that much. You don't really get any head pivot with this one. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so you can get his arm out good. You have pretty good rotation. Now this piece up here, these shoulder pads, they will move on you when you start rotating the arm around, but again, it is a separate piece, so it's not a big deal. You do have a bicep swivel. You only get a single hinged elbow with this one, so you can bend his elbow about that much, and then you get rotation with the wrist, and you have hinges on the hands. Even with the Infinity Gauntlet hand, you do have a hinge on there, so you do get up and down movement with the hand. And then he does have an ab crunch type joint, though he really can't crunch forward at all, and then can only crunch back about one click, so can only look back about that much there at the midsection. He does have a waist swivel. Now he has this piece here in the middle is also a separate piece, so the overall sculpting with the legs, even with this piece, which does limit some of that movement, really can't do the splits at all. Can only do the splits that much. And then he can get his leg forward that much, and really can't do the leg back very much at all. Does have a thigh swivel, has a double jointed knee, so he can bend his knee that much. do have a boot cuff swivel, hinges on the feet, so up and down movement with the feet, and he does have ankle pivot, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Now, while I know some of you might be tempted to try and pull this, all I've got to say is just don't be that guy. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, if you have the previous Build-A-Figure version, you know what to expect with this one. It is a little bit on the short side, but the differences between the two are basically the paint applications, which I kind of like the metallic paints that they used on this version. However, the paint applications on the previous one are more accurate to the actual outfit, and then you get the alternate head and the Infinity Gauntlet. And honestly, the Infinity Gauntlet is probably the biggest reason most people would buy this one, especially if they already have the Build-A-Figure version. Now, this figure is actually a little bit cheaper than a normal Marvel Legend figure. This one is going to cost you between $18 and $19. I think the retail is $18.94, $18.84, something like that. But it's not quite as expensive as a normal Marvel Legend, which is essentially $20, which is kind of weird because when this figure was first announced, being it is essentially a Build-A-Figure, I thought it was actually going to be more expensive, like in the neighborhood of $25 to $30. So that's a positive that it is a little bit cheaper. Now, this is a Walmart exclusive and it is hitting shelves now. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'm close to hitting 40,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate the help. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.